The Olympics are on the way. They are coming very, very soon. Summertime, obviously, a year past when it was supposed to happen, but it is here. Tokyo 2020. The Olympics are on the way. A lot of the trials are underway now. Majority of the American track team has been set. I think the U.S. gymnastics team is happening this weekend. Of course, the GOAT herself, Simone Biles, is more than likely going to make the team and has the high potential of clean sweeping the medals, which would definitely be something epic. I know that what was it, Gabby Douglas was the first African American woman to ever win, and then Simone took that and just kind of ran with it. So it's super dope, super dope, super duper duper dope. And then we have Simone Manuel in the pool. I think this is the first. It is the first Olympics in many years that we're not gonna have Mr. Phelps, aka Aquaman, in the pool. It's crazy. Like I think like if you were like a '90s baby and you kind of saw like even if you weren't like you were born around like the Athens Olympics, but then you saw what was 2000? Was 2000 Athens? We said 2000 in wherever the hell it was, 2004, then 2008 in I think no 2004 was back in Athens, 2008 was in Beijing, 2012 was in London, and 2016 was in Rio. I mean, you saw a bunch of different Olympics, and you had someone like Michael Phelps himself that was in all of those Olympic games, winning medals. And I like it, even though like obviously I think like the athletes as a whole should get paid more and all the things that they go through, and obviously like we have all the scandals that have been around, whether it is Russia with their doping violations and the other cases with USA Gymnastics and for USA Taekwondo. I've been hearing rumblings and things like that. The Olympics as a spectacle, as an event, is something that I very much enjoy. Just because I feel like it's a time where everything kind of stops, everybody just kind of comes together for the enjoyment of sport. You know what I mean? Where in the States, you really kind of don't have that. I mean, obviously, we have like the basketball, football, and things like that, but that's very Americanized. I mean, there's a couple international players, but for the most part, it's American born, American bred players dominate those industries 90% of the time. You know, stuff like the UFC is very multicultural, especially now I think they have a UFC performance center over in China, and there's tons of different athletes from, I mean, Brazilian athletes to Mexican athletes to African athletes from all walks of life and stuff like that. So I think that's great that it's so very mixed in the combat sports world, but the regular sports like the basketballs, footballs, and stuff, it really isn't. So obviously because like soccer is more prevalent universally and stuff like that, I'm just not a soccer fan. But the Olympics are dope, man. I can remember, even though I wasn't successful at it, having my own Olympic dreams and trying to make it in Taekwondo before karate was added, because I switched sports when I was like 13 to go to Taekwondo to try to make the Olympic team and try to make it on a national team and stuff like that. And I obviously wasn't successful at it, but it definitely gives you a respect for it. But at the same time, it also, for me, I've always been a numbers guy, and the fact that a large majority of these athletes are like basically broke after they do all this. Like, you think about all the money you spend in training and all these other things, and I mean, you really don't win. There's no like prize pot. I mean, obviously you can get sponsors and things like that, but when you're in a sport that, I'm gonna be honest, doesn't really matter, like Taekwondo, in the grand scheme of things, it does not matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no like professional league. I mean, I've really never heard of a. If you guys have heard of it, like, please correct me. I've never heard of like an Olympic Taekwondo champion going into kickboxing, for example, and making a huge splash. You know what I'm saying? I've heard of a lot of world champion sport karate athletes going in there and going into kickboxing and Muay Thai and stuff like that and making a big splash. And obviously we see those with the Raymond Daniels and the Wonder Boys and MVPs and all those things. But for Taekwondo, like, it's cool. Like, I mean, it's an art, yes, but it doesn't really teach you how to fight. It teaches you how to score points. You know what I'm saying? It teaches you how to kick pretty. It doesn't teach you how to kick hard. Now there are some hard kickers in there, but you get what I'm saying. If you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm very happy that there are multiple martial arts in there. There's boxing, there's judo, there's wrestling, there's taekwondo, there is karate is in there now. And yes, wrestling is a martial art. Yes, boxing is a martial art. A belt system does not equate a martial art. So definitely check yourself before you wreck yourself when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I think like when it comes to the Olympic Games, like it's so crazy how one there's so many sports, but and also like how sports are treated differently nation to nation. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like in America, it's basketball, gymnastics to a certain degree. When it comes to like the Olympic level, tennis is up there. But then you have like stuff like in India and in the Philippines and Indonesia. Something like badminton is massive. Something like table tennis is massive in those countries, and they're able to make livings like a person that's playing tennis in the states or a person that's fighting in the states. You know what I'm saying? So it's dope to see that just because like you see the contrast in how things have developed. You know what I'm saying? Like or how things kind of tend towards growing in a certain direction in other countries versus the country that you live in. It's just a dope thing to see. And me myself, when the Olympics are on, like that's literally all I watch. Like I'm watching freaking track at 6. I'm watching badminton at 9 the next morning. I'm waking up eating breakfast and I'm watching freaking archery. Like I have just always enjoyed the spectacle of the Olympics just because like even if it's not athletic, but if you just have ever dreamed for something so long and you've worked for something so hard and to be able to get that opportunity to shine and get that, like I know that has to feel good because in myself I've gotten that. Even though it wasn't on the Olympic stage, I had a dream that I genuinely wanted, and fortunately I was able to make it come true. And it feels so good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you'll have moments, like I have moments now where it's like I just look back and I'm like, how in the hell did I get this far from where I was? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's people that were like they started out in a sport and they sucked, and now they're Olympic champion, they're world champion, the world knows who they are, they're all these other things. You know what I'm saying? Just like a person like a Michael Jordan who was cut from his basketball team and now he's recognized as one of the greatest players in the world and stuff like that. So it's definitely fun to see. Definitely fun to see. But it is interesting that they haven't kind of like changed the format of how the Olympics are ran and things like that. Like I feel like there should be some kind of payout for the gold medalists or something. There needs to be something. I'm sure there is there's a little incentive, but I could say for the most part it doesn't seem like there's much. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be a bigger incentive when you win. You know what I mean? Because they're making billions of dollars. Just think about how much money that must bring into a country that you're at, because people are coming there to visit. People are spending money on merchandise. Like tourism's going up because they want to visit the Olympic City. You're getting billions of dollars in television and ad revenue. Like you're getting all this money, and then most of these athletes are making nothing. And after they finish, they got to go back to working whatever job they were working before. The majority of them. Now, obviously, certain ones like other countries, it's a little different in the States. Like it is like that for certain sports, but in other countries, obviously it's very different. Like I know, what the like Iranian taekwondo, he didn't even win. He got like the bronze medal, and I remember seeing like a video of him. He got like a a key to his like hometown, and like they bought him like a house or something like that because he was the first person to ever win a medal for Iran or Iraq. I forgot where it was. I'm sorry, forgive me for that, but he won a medal, and that's a massive thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like stuff like that. Obviously, you can't buy a bunch of people houses, but some kind of incentive for that accomplishment, because it is a big accomplishment. You know what I mean? Like, people think that, oh, this is like in an American country, like this it's just commonplace for Americans to win everything. It's freaking hard to actually win at the highest level. There's a reason why there's so many steps. I mean, you have to go from a local to a regional to a national to a world to Olympic. You have to go through all those steps, and you really can't afford to make many missteps in that process. Like, let's say if you lose the team trials, you can't make the world's team. If you lose the Olympic trials, you can't make the Olympic team. If you get injured, you might have to miss out on the Olympics. You might have to miss out on the worlds or whatever. And then in some sports, you have to just get lucky, because there's certain combat sports where all the weight classes aren't included, where it's like you have to maybe go up, maybe go down. It's not as easy as people try to paint it to be. And I know this just from a person that tried to go after an Olympic career and failed at it, but also from just a person that understands what it takes to work hard. There's so many people out here that say that they want to do certain things, and they'll put in some effort, but it's not enough effort in order to be truly successful at what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like, they won't like miss the meals that they have to miss. They won't run those extra miles in a figurative and literal sense that they have to run, but they'll expect to get these grandiose outcomes and all this money and all these accolades and all this appreciation and all this success from something that they didn't put in the work. And even if you put in all the work, you still might not win. You know what I'm saying? But you don't deserve to be upset if you haven't put in the adequate amount of work into a craft when someone else has, and putting blood, sweat, and tears, literally blood, sweat, and tears, into all that they've ever wanted to do, as opposed to someone who's never even given that amount of effort into something, but yet they still want the same outcome, like a Simone Biles, like a Michael Phelps, like a Usain Bolt. If you know you haven't put in the work, then you're not even going to deserve that. And even them, they don't deserve the outcomes that they got. They earned the outcomes they got. You know what I'm saying? So I just love that the Olympics are coming around, because it's really just a big, beautiful event of earning, of achievement. So I'm happy to see it. Happy to see it back. I'm interested to see what happens in each of the sports. Definitely hope that Simone could. Honestly, I hope she can like clean sweep the medals and just win all 6 events, because that would be amazing. And no one would ever be able to duplicate that, man. And I know how many young girls. I know my niece. She loves Simone Biles. So like, I'm sure I'll probably pick her up to watch that with me, and just to see Simone do her thing. But it's a beautiful thing, man. But with that being said, what do you guys think? What sport are you looking forward to the most watching in the Olympics? Are you interested in some of the new sports like skateboarding, karate, rock climbing? I think is in there. I think there was one more. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, man, what do you guys think, man? How are you guys feeling about the Olympics? Anything that you want to see happen in the Olympics, man? Definitely let me know. And of course, share, and share some more, man. Thank you so much for listening, and we must now exit the dojo.